Part 148. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1471. Earlier, I signed a master-servant contract with you, but I gave you the greatest freedom. Since you are so ungrateful, then, this time I will make you a real beast pet. Not far away, Lengbing flew over and landed in front of the thorn demon. Woo, woo. The thorn demon kept begging for mercy, but Lengbing, a powerful man, naturally could not be soft-hearted. He immediately recited the formula, and at the same time, a stream of demonic energy enveloped the thorn demon. In the end, a very deep mark was left in his demon soul. In this way, the life and death of the thorn demon was in his control. With just one thought, the thorn demon would explode and die immediately. After doing all this, Lengbing turned around and continued to perform the heaven-devouring demon art, swallowing the pure demonic energy. The river of demonic energy gradually retreated without the control of the river fairy official and returned to the demon pillar. The big dog also appeared, holding the second dog in his arms, in a miserable state. But it seemed that he had not suffered any substantial damage. It can only be said that the demonic energy has affected the spiritual power in his body, that's all. Lengbing's heart moved, and he said, "Fellow Daoist Meng, put fellow Daoist Joe next to me. I can't take so much demonic energy in one bite." "Thank you, fellow Daoist Leng." The big dog was overjoyed, and hurriedly flew over, and after gently putting the second dog down, he landed on the ground. "Yaduo, it's really great that you're okay. Thank you for your concern, uncle, it's really the right thing to follow me this time." Tuduyu was also very excited. He vaguely felt that he might break through. After practicing the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra to the nascent soul, the breakthrough depends more on enlightenment. "Then congratulations." The big dog patted his shoulder, and then looked into the distance. "I don't know how the Dragon Demon King is doing." "The Dragon Demon King should be fine," Tuduyu thought for a while, and said, "otherwise he wouldn't go there alone. For immortals, the realm may not be of much use. But among the demons, there are still some. In the entire Dragon Demon Valley, only the Dragon Demon King has reached the Demon King realm. Those demonized demon dragons have not even reached the transformation stage, so after losing their minds, they act according to their demon instincts." "I hope so," De Go responded. "How did you escape from the thorn demon array?" "It's also fortunate that Master taught me the method of breaking the array. I haven't let it go these days. I have learned from it and studied some arrays when I have nothing to do. This is why I can't be affected by the array." Talking about this, Tuduyu was still frightened and exclaimed that he was lucky. "It seems that you really followed the right person," De Go smiled and said, "some things will happen, and we can go back to report to Zuyun. Now, we only need the 800,000 troops of the 10 Directions Immortal King. With Master here, there should be no problem." Tuduyu has unconditional trust in Zuyun. Thinking back to that time, in the 5 Elements sect, he was able to lead himself out of such a big predicament. Now without the pressure of realm, Master must be more at ease. "Yes, Xiao Zhu is so smart that Inergo can't even compare to him." The big dog laughed and looked at the demon dragons. He found that they were also lying quietly on the ground, and he couldn't help but sigh again. "Uncle Master, what's wrong?" "No, I just remembered something." The big dog stopped talking and sat down to regulate his breathing. Time passed. Finally, there was movement in the distance. The Dragon Demon King was very happy and gathered here with a group of demon dragons. "Senior Dragon King, it seems there is good news." At this time, only Tuduyu could speak. He saw that the demon dragons were not showing any demonic energy, so he stepped forward to congratulate them. "Ha ha ha, of course there is good news. The Dragon Demon King came here and saw the scene and knew that they succeeded. He couldn't help laughing and said, "The river immortal officer used our formation, and I think he sucked away all the demonic energy. So, when I went there again, there was very little demonic energy in the bodies of these demon dragons, which just helped me a lot. To you, how are you doing?" Knowing that there was good news, the dragon demon king couldn't help asking. "It couldn't be better," to you said with a smile on his face. "The thorn demon was subdued again, and the river immortal officer must have been killed. Then fellow deist Leng and fellow deist Zhou. They are absorbing these demonic energy, you know, they are demon cultivators. Demon cultivators are very common in the spirit world, and to you doesn't think it's a big deal." He was even a little envious. The dragon demon king was silent for a moment, and suddenly said, "Fellow deist too, there won't be any accidents, right?" "Definitely not. Senior Leng also used these demonic energies to save us from danger." Hearing such a positive answer, the dragon demon king thought for a moment, and then said, "I always feel that something is wrong. Can fellow deist too come with me to take a look?" "Where?" "The ancient formation of our ancestors." Tu Duyu was shocked. Thinking that this was the ancient formation of the demon dragon clan, he felt itchy again. This might be a formation that even the master had never seen. How about going to take a look? After hesitating for only a moment, Tu Duyu agreed. The dragon demon king remained calm, and after ordering the demon dragons to return to the forest first, he took Tu Duyu to continue to go deep into the yellow sand desert. The matter here was over, and in the imperial city, the 12 great demon saints also gathered in the harem. "Zuyun, we are all here, tell me what to do." A group of demon saints stood side by side in front of Zuyun. Each of you take the totem pole, and then go to the corresponding position and lead those tribesmen." After saying that, Zuyun was not polite and took out all the totem poles at once. Now that the matter here is over, the great universe world can return to peace. A group of demon saints all became solemn, took the totem poles with solemn faces, and ran in their respective directions. "Zuyun, what is the great universe world?" The immortal emperor heard something and asked with a frown. Zuyun looked into the distance, sighed, and said, "The great universe world is a place where you can ascend safely, but at least not yet." "I don't quite understand," said the immortal emperor with a deeper frown, "but I can feel that this is related to the Qingping immortal kingdom." "It is indeed related," Zuyun did not deny it, saying, "I mentioned it to you before, but you were not very interested." The immortal emperor was silent for a while, and said, "Then, can you tell me, compared with the great universe world and the spirit world, where is easier for us immortals to ascend?" Zuyun smiled and said, "For you, the spirit world is relatively suitable, but for thousands of immortals, maybe the great universe world is more suitable." The immortal emperor slowly looked into the distance, then let me guess, Qingping immortal kingdom is now in the great universe world. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1472. Yes, right in the universe. Zuyun did not shy away from anything and said bluntly, "I did not expect such an accident to happen. But now that the matter has come to this, it may be a win-win situation for Qingping Immortal Kingdom to be fully integrated into the world of the universe. Is this universe world your portable world?" A strange color flashed in the Immortal Emperor's eyes. As inner warriors who were once heaven-level world stars, their Tianji sect also had many ancestors who achieved enlightenment and ascended to great power in the immortal world. "I don't know much about things like refining the world, but I know something about it. When an immortal has reached a certain level of cultivation, if he wants to reach another level, he needs to have a portable world. This world is like a monk's dantian, which can provide the owner of the world with a steady stream of immortal power. And a large part of this is the power of faith. The master of the world must gain the faith of the creatures in the world. This is the main reason for refining the world. The immortal emperor took a deep breath, stared into Zhu Yun's eyes, and said, "So, how much do you know about the portable world?" "I don't understand," Zhu Yun shook his head and said, "I only know that the world of the universe can make me stronger. Maybe after the Qingping immortal kingdom is fully integrated, I will break through the divine transformation stage and reach the stage of refining the void." The immortal emperor sighed and said, "Now we still have important matters to attend to. After we kill those 10 immortal kings, I will talk to you again." Zhu Yun looked happy. What the immortal emperor meant was that he could give him some advice. That couldn't be better. In the process of interacting with the immortal emperor, he has completely understood the immortal emperor's personality. This can be believed. "Zhu Yun, thank you, immortal emperor." Zhu Yun cupped his fists and raised his hands. By the way, the immortal emperor accepted Zhu Yun's thanks and said as if he suddenly remembered something, "Before Qingping immortal kingdom integrates with the world of the universe, I suggest that you transfer some things that you do not plan to send those who remain in this world out." Zhu Yun's eyes flashed, which coincided with his original thoughts. It seemed that the immortal emperor must know more than he imagined. "Okay, I understand, thank you, immortal emperor." The immortal king waved his hand and said, "Then, let's prepare to attack the 10 immortal kings next. Once they are killed, you can start sending those people out, and then I will tell you the method of fusion." Zhu Yunqiang suppressed the excitement in his heart. Isn't it just for this reason that he went to great lengths to help the immortal emperor suppress the rebellious immortal king? It's not in vain that he spent so much time. "Let's go." Zhu Yun suddenly felt high spirits and flew to the highest point of the palace. He raised his hands high and stretched out a firebird talisman. This was a signal they had discussed long ago. The 12 demon saints began to roar in unison. They each held totem poles of corresponding races and led a group of monsters to pour out from the gates on 3 sides. Zhu Yun. At this time, Sun Qinyang suddenly flew in front of Zhu Yun. "What's the matter?" Zhu Yun stood still and asked. "Elder brother and the others. Leng Bing has gone." "It should be nothing. If you are worried, you can go through the Duanxian River and have a look." Zhu Yun still had great trust in Leng Bing, at least before leaving the world of Dazhu. "I know," Sun Qinyang nodded and said, "Wei didn't come in with us, I'm worried about her." Zhu Yun frowned. Meng Wei had indeed been ignored these days, and no one mentioned it. Sun Qinyang continued, "If Wei stays in the misty mountains and forests, there should be no problem. But I am uneasy because I am afraid that some evil cultivators will come to Lingjian section. You can do it with Leng Bing, then what's wrong with evil cultivators? Besides, there is only one person guarding the place, Brother Yezi, so I'm afraid something might happen." "You mean, you want to go back to the mortal world first?" Zhu Yun guessed what Sun Qinyang meant. "Yes, I want to go back and have a look." Sun Qinyang looked into the distance and said, "You have been preparing for a long time. I think the matter can be easily solved by coming here. My presence or absence does not mean much." Zhu Yun thought for a moment and said, "But now, I have no way to send you away." As soon as he said this, Zhu Yun suddenly remembered something again and said, "If you are anxious, you can try to break the immortal river." "Broken immortal river? Leave the demonic dragon valley." "No," Zhu Yun shook his head and said, "I didn't bring Xiaolu into the Qingping immortal kingdom. To make a long story short, if you go downstream along the Duanxian River, you may end up in the wild sea." Sun Qinyang's eyes lit up and she said happily, "This is best, then I'll leave first." Zhu Yun smiled slightly, "I won't give it to you." "No need." Sun Qinyang smiled sweetly and said, "If you gain something, don't forget us." "Of course not." Sun Qinyang acted straightforwardly. After saying goodbye to Zhu Yun, she used the Wind Dragon Thunder Sword to plunge into the Duanxian River. Only then did Zhu Yun retract his gaze and let out a long sigh. How could he not know Sun Qinyang's thoughts now? But he still has a place for Mengwei in his heart. The matter here has been solved, and there are also matters in the spiritual world. The world is unfair, how can we care about the love between our children? With a wry smile, Zuyun put his thoughts back. The 12 demon saints have already gathered outside the city with all the demon beasts. Let's set off along the Duanxian River. Zuyun gave an order, and the monster beasts roared and rushed out. Then, Zuyun flew to the broken immortal river again, and with a slight shake, Xiaolu popped out of it. Master, what do you need us to do? You, just lie in ambush in the broken immortal river and act according to the situation. The role of the demon saints is to intimidate those ordinary immortals. And you, the most important thing is to kill those immortal kings. Understood. Seeing that the master entrusted such an important task to him, Xiaolu also glowed all over, and then went back into the water. The war is about to start. 100 miles away. I am a little uneasy. Did Zuyun take any action? The great Zhou immortal king paced back and forth, and as he said, his face wrinkled into a horizontal Chuan character on his forehead. Zuyun is not to be feared, but the river immortal official. I don't know if he deliberately contacted us and then wanted to catch us all in one fell swoop. The great desert immortal king had no expression on his face, but when he mentioned the river immortal official, he almost bit his teeth. In fact, neither he Xianguan nor Zuyun are to be feared. What I am worried about, are those monsters. Just as another immortal king was expressing his opinion, an immortal suddenly came running over. Report, immortal kings, a large group of immortals were found stationed 30 miles away. I guess that there are more than 300,000 people. After this was said, all the immortal kings looked at each other in surprise. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1473. It should be someone from the royal city of Deu. No, it's impossible. Deu King City is about the same as us, with only over 100,000 immortals. Don't forget, there are also Darren, Deu and other royal cities. The city of King Dawang is gone too. The more the immortal kings talked, the more terrifying they felt. There are 300,000 immortals here, and over there in the palace, Immortal King Dian and Immortal King Dian also have 300,000 men. In addition, the Spirit Stone Demon Dragon encountered during the first attack on the city. It seems that they have no way to achieve absolute suppression in terms of numbers. What to do? Finally, an Immortal King panicked. 300,000 troops appeared in the rear. And directly in front of them is the direction of the palace. Plus the group of monsters that appeared in the imperial city. Withdraw, you can only withdraw first. Immortal King Dezhou made a decision immediately. Do we still have a way out? Where can we evacuate? The Desert Immortal King expressed his objection. They finally gathered together. If they retreat, they will definitely have different ideas. When the time comes, they will go their separate ways, but they will be defeated by each one. I also feel that we cannot withdraw. If we withdraw, our morale will be gone. That's right, our biggest reliance now is the 800,000 immortals. While there is no movement now, why not strike first? That's what I mean. There's no movement on the palace side yet. Let's kill to the rear first. 300,000 people, that's all. The 10 immortal kings were divided into 2 camps. But soon, the group leading the retreat was also convinced. If it were just the immortal king faction, it wouldn't actually pose much of a threat to them at all. But the biggest variable is because of Zuyun. Not only him, but also the monks brought in by Zuyun. Order, everyone turns around and kill 30 miles to the rear. The immortal king of Great Zhou immediately issued an order, and the immortal who gave the order immediately accepted the order and turned around and left. Soon, the 800,000 strong army began to move from sitting to standing. But before he was ready to go, another piece of news came. An immortal guarding the direction of the palace descended from the sky. Report, immortal kings, something bad has happened. There is a tide of beasts in the direction of the imperial city. Tide of beasts. The expressions of all the immortal kings changed. Immortal King Dazhu immediately shouted, "Which clan of monsters are they? It's not any one clan, but all 12 clans are here." The immortal's voice trembled. He is thousands of years old, and it's not that he has never seen a tide of beasts, but he has never seen the grand gathering of 12 tribes at all. What? 12 tribes? The fairy kings were stunned. The immortal emperor must have come up with some trick to lead the beast tide here. The immortal king of the desert was the first to react and said, "Ignore the beast tide for now, maybe the immortal king is testing us. Let's go kill the 300,000 people in Daoking City first." Following the order, even though the 800,000 strong army was large in number, it would take a lot of time to temporarily change the order accordingly and wait for them to be fully prepared. Now, even if there is an abyss ahead, we can only press forward with our eyes closed. It seems that we have to prepare for the worst. At this time, a gloomy voice sounded, and all the immortal kings looked over. "Great Yin Immortal King, you mean that the beast tide is most likely caused by the immortal king?" Yes, the immortal King Dayan was covered in a black robe, and the emotionless voice came, "In my opinion, it is best for us to prepare to retreat when the army comes into contact, and, as much as possible, stay away from Duanxian River. Are you afraid that this wave of monsters is somehow related to the wave of monsters?" Another immortal king suddenly spoke, "Do you still remember the Zhou family in Darong King City? Rongxian King was the first to die. Why did you mention him?" "I'm not mentioning him. The Zhou family has a lineage of ancestors, but they are destined to control beasts. Now the subordinates of King Rongxian are also under the command of King Day. Could it be the fault of the Zhou family?" As soon as these words came out, everyone suddenly realized. The gathering of 12 tribes of monsters was unbelievable. Naturally, they thought it was man-made. In this case, we can only think of escaping. However, from what I see, only by twisting into a hemp rope can we be able to deal with the subsequent pursuit. The immortal kings knew that their respective situations were difficult, and if they were separated, they would definitely die. At this time, the 800,000 strong army had already set off, heading 30 miles away. 1% of the immortals took off, while 90% of the immortals stepped forward. They did not run wildly, but focused on stability. But no matter how stable it was, when they set off, the ground was shaken and spread to 30 miles away. "City Lord, there seems to be movement over there." Yu Changming looked into the distance with an extremely solemn expression. "Move when you move, the enemy advances and we retreat. I wish fellow Taoists have already made arrangements, we just need to delay for time." Yu Changkong had a strange look on his face, but he didn't take it too seriously. Ji Tianqing stood with her hands behind her hands, looking into the distance. At this time, a black shadow suddenly stood up in front of him. "The master has ordered 12 demon saints to come with tens of thousands of demon clansmen. You must be prepared." "It's Zhou Pao?" "Understood, we are ready to deal with it." Ji Tianqing's expression was incomprehensible, and there was no trace of sadness or joy. "Okay, then I'll go back and resume my life." Zhou Pao turned into a shadow again and then disappeared. "I hope this time, not too many people will die." Ji Tianqing murmured and retreated to the rear. Under the leadership of the 12 demon saints, the totem poles they each held made the demon beasts extremely fanatical. The totem poles glowed with the light of various tribes, constantly nourishing their bodies. On the way of the raid alone, some demon beasts had already broken through because of the totem poles. In just half an hour, they had surpassed half of the distance of more than 100 miles. Almost at the same time, the 12 demon kings communicated through the totem poles. Tens of thousands of demon beasts roared in unison. Various voices were connected and reached the ears of the 800,000 troops. Beast tide, there is a beast tide behind us. In an instant, at least half of the immortals were panicked, and the formation that was moving forward steadily was also disrupted. How can we fight this? Run. Can't run away. For a while, all the immortals had such thoughts in their minds. Many of these people were forced to come and participate in the rebellion. Now in such a dangerous situation, the army's morale began to slowly weaken. They knew very well what they were doing. They also knew that more than 20 compatriots had been killed or injured in the imperial city. It is said that there were no casualties at the palace. Rather than dying, why don't we fight and escape? Some immortals with a sharp mind and a strong will to survive began to look around, trying to make sure whether the immortal king and their confidants noticed this place, so that they could act accordingly. But the inertia of the army kept pushing them forward. Until the immortals at the forefront saw the 300,000 troops of Dao King City. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1474. The enemy advances and we retreat. The 300,000 strong army resolutely followed Yu Changkong's orders and retreated towards the rear. But the speed is not fast, the aim is to keep the same speed as the opponent. However, the 12 demon saints in the rear led the demon beasts, but they were extremely fast. Almost running at full speed. The ground shook more and more intensely. It looked like the rebels had taken the initiative. But in fact, the speed is gradually slowing down. However, there are too many of them, and it will take a lot of time to stop completely. But Yu Changming discovered this keenly. City Lord, these immortals seem to be slowing down. Yu Changkong snorted coldly and said, "That's right, have you seen the immortal kings?" As soon as these words came out, Yu Changming was stunned. "You mean?" "Yes, I guess the fairy kings have taken advantage of the chaos and escaped." Yu Changming was overjoyed when he heard this. Once the immortal king left, the 800,000 troops must have been like a pile of scattered sand. No wonder, despite their numerical advantage, their speed slowed down. "I'm missing." At this time, Zhou Guan suddenly appeared from the side, his expression was extremely solemn. As a high-grade immortal root, he felt that there were many auras almost the same as his hidden in the army. "Zhou Xianguan, what do you mean?" Yu Changkong asked immediately. He knew that Zhou Gun was a top-grade immortal. Although he was the city lord, he had great respect for him. Especially because he is still one of Zhu Yun's cronies. The 800,000 army, under the master's plan, will definitely not be able to achieve great things. As a result, those immortal kings will be unable to support themselves. If they just escape, they will lose their numerical advantage. So, from what I can see, it's more likely that he plans to use these immortals one last time before he can truly escape in the chaos. Zhou Gun's analysis convinced the two city lords. If you think about it from their position, it is indeed possible. It would be too conspicuous to run away at this time. Instead, let all the immortals fight and make this place more chaotic, and their chances will be greater. What I see now is that their military morale is unstable. These immortal kings will definitely take action later, by then, it's time for me to take action. Zhou Guan concentrated for a moment, then took out the pseudo-immortal weapon, stepped up into the air, and raised the weapon. It's really amazing. I really don't know how he did it. The two city lords couldn't help but look envious. After Zhou Guan flew over the army, he was naturally discovered by the immortal kings. Similarly, More immortals also saw Jogun. Jogun did not shy away from it, but fully displayed his high-grade immortal root aura. He wants to force these fairy kings to show up early. High-grade immortal root. He is not an immortal king, so how can he have high-grade immortal roots? Too strong, they are too strong. The soldiers' morale was already low, but Jogun's attack made them lose their confidence even more. The high-grade immortal roots on their side are at the back. But there were obviously few people on the other side, but the high-grade immortal roots were at the front. High and low, judge. What to do? A group of immortal kings also realized that something was wrong and began to discuss. Kill. When the desert immortal king spat out this word, murderous intent filled the air all around. Then, let's go together. The great Joe immortal king also meant this. High-grade immortal roots will threaten them, this is an undoubted fact. They have already planned to leave, and if they can kill one more person now, it will consume the strength of the immortal emperor. But the problem is that not every immortal king can fly. Who brought the ferry boat? Dayan immortal king is one of them. If he wants to attack Jogun, he must borrow a boat to go to heaven. I brought it. An immortal king cut through the void and took out a flying boat. However, this pseudo-immortal power was immediately discovered by Jogun. His eyes condensed, and the light of the immortal root on his forehead swelled. Then he jumped up and controlled the spear to fly into his hand. The immortal emperor has an order, but I am just being coerced. If I put down my weapons and charge into our camp with my hands raised, I can survive. As soon as he finished speaking, Jogun had already grasped the spear tightly, and then stood upside down, using all the pseudo-immortal power in his body to control it. Falling from the sky. A boundless murderous aura came from the gun and was instantly locked on the immortal king who took out the flying boat. What a powerful pseudo-immortal power. The immortal king was so frightened that he didn't care that the immortal boat was still in his hand. He quickly threw it aside and ran away hastily. Seeing that all the immortal kings were fleeing, the immortals on the side who dared not stay here all dispersed like birds and beasts. But there are a lot of people here, so you can move with just a hair. For a moment, some immortals were pushed and fell to the ground one after another, and were trampled by the immortals later. Screams suddenly sounded. And the momentum gradually spread, and then affected other immortals. It was so sudden that all the immortals' minds completely collapsed at this moment. Subduing the enemy's army without fighting? This sentence suddenly popped into Jogun's mind. But soon, it disappeared in a flash. In his eyes, there is only that immortal king. Kill. At this time, the desert immortal king said this word with cold eyes. It is no longer possible to stop the immortals at this time. Only the immortal kings can work together to kill Jogu. The remaining 9 immortal kings used their immortal roots one after another. Their figures are also revealed. Jogun was startled. These immortal kings had not moved before, so he did not know their location. He thought that these immortal kings would scatter everywhere, but he miscalculated. Fortunately, he did not intend to kill the immortal king with his own strength. This move was just to shock all the immortals so that they would know that he was determined to kill the immortal king. Scatter. Jogun ignored the backlash of pseudo-immortal power and shook the spear. The golden light turned into dots of light and dissipated between heaven and earth. Then, he turned around and stepped directly on the spear. Rise. The spear that was about to fall to the ground suddenly rose up, like a dragon rising into the sky. Don't let him run away. The great desert immortal king was furious. They were already ready to go, waiting for Jogun to come down. As a result, the murderous aura and the majestic pseudo-immortal power just now disappeared. Among the 10 immortal kings, only 5 could fly. Damo, Dazhu, and the other 5 people took off into the air and chased Jogun. These immortal kings naturally understood the principle of taking advantage of his weakness to kill him. Jogun was horrified, and every step he took was wrong. Since these people did not flee but caught up with him, it showed that they were also determined to kill him. It was obviously unrealistic to escape back to Dao's formation. Only now. Escape to the direction of the Imperial City. Zhou Gun made a prompt decision and attracted the pseudo-immortal power in the world, which was continuously transferred into the spear. Using the method of flying in the spiritual world, the speed of the top-grade immortal route made it difficult for the immortal kings to catch up for a while. Fast, so fast. Can't let him run away. Hurry up. Several immortal kings were unwilling to let Zhou Gun leave in a dusty state, and gritted their teeth and followed closely behind. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1475. Zhou Gun didn't expect that these immortal kings would dare to follow him. But it's good that way. Zhou Pao had sent a message earlier that the master had brought 12 demon saints with him. 5 immortal kings, nothing to fear. Since you dare to come, you will die. Zhou Gun's eyes flashed coldly. He forced himself to bear the pain in his body and flew with all his strength with his spear. It only took a few dozen miles, which didn't take much time. As he expected, Zhu Yun also found Zhou Gun. He also found the 5 golden lights chasing behind. 5 immortal kings. He frowned slightly, and then relaxed. If there were only 5 people, it would be easy. He shouted in the air, "All demon saints, follow me." With an order, the 12 demon saints immediately put down the totem poles, transformed into their original bodies, and flew into the air. Although they were walking on the ground, they also found the immortal king. Since Zhu Yun asked them to come up, he must be going to take action. Only 5 people? Including Zhu Yun, there are 13 of them. Did you see that? Get started. Zhu Yun pointed forward with his hand, and all the immortal kings locked their eyes. What are you still looking at? Come on, let's see what these so-called immortal kings are capable of. They had long known from Zhu Yun that the methods of these immortal kings were to directly quote the pseudo-immortal power from heaven and earth. Although the speed was faster, it was not limited by the pseudo-immortal power in the body. But the demon kings who had lived for at least thousands of years, what kind of scenes had they not seen? Long Wu roared and rushed over immediately. It's the dragon saint. Zhou Gun recognized the dragon demon king at a glance, and was overjoyed. At the same time, he also saw Zhu Yun from a distance, and was even more excited. The master will not give up on me. The demon saints rushed up very quickly, and by the time the 5 immortal kings found out, it was too late. The great desert immortal king exclaimed, "Retreat, retreat quickly." He not only saw the 12 demon saints, but also saw the tens of thousands of demon beasts below. Unexpectedly, they came so quickly. Want to run? Too late. Long Wu laughed arrogantly and roared, "Form the 12 demon guards." The other demon saints condensed their demon power and began to set up the formation. This was what they realized in the Dozhuan Xinyi formation set up by Zhu Yun in Bailian sect. Moreover, after a fusion to become a beast of destiny, a group of demon beasts can completely achieve telepathy. But in the blink of an eye, the demon power of these demon saints surged and settled in their respective positions, trapping the 5 immortal kings firmly in it. Kill. Long Wu gave an order, and the more powerful demon power formed a shield, trapping them directly in it. See how much pseudo-immortal power you have left. Long Wu sneered, the 12 demon guards can completely block them from the outside world. In this way, the pseudo-immortal power here is extremely limited, and they naturally can't hold on for long. Gather together and blast open this formation. The great desert immortal king was horrified and saw what Long Wu's purpose was. If they didn't have pseudo-immortal power, what difference would there be between them and ordinary immortals? He immediately asked the other 4 immortal kings and himself to blast the pseudo-immortal power at one point. but he didn't understand the mystery of the 12 demon guards formation, not to mention that it was used by a group of demon saints. Even if their pseudo-immortal power was condensed at one point, they died without any disease because of the wandering of the 12 demon saints. If they can be trapped to death, they will never fight. Longwu deeply understood the essence of Zuyun, but just watched coldly, leading a group of demon saints to wander and change positions. Zuyun also received Zhou and asked, "What happened? Why did these 5 immortal kings join forces to chase you?" Zhou forced a laugh and said, "Master, your plan worked. These immortal kings hid in the army and waited for an opportunity to escape. I saw an immortal king take out the immortal boat, so I wanted to kill him first, one by one. But I didn't expect that these immortal kings were also very cunning. They all stayed together, and I was almost killed. The injuries on my body were also backfired by my own pseudo-immortal power." Zhou told Zuyun the reason for what happened before in detail. "So that's it," Zuyun praised, "then you should swallow a pill quickly." "Yes, master." With Zuyun here, and these 5 immortal kings could not cause any trouble, Zhou took out a pill and swallowed it, and then controlled the pseudo-immortal weapon and slowly fell to the ground. Zuyun stood in the air and looked at the 5 immortal kings coldly. In just one stick of incense, the 5 immortal kings were already exhausted. They were all top-grade immortal roots, and the pseudo-immortal power they attracted with each breath was a huge amount. And with 5 of them, the space in the 12 demon guard formation was not enough for them. "Zuyun, kill." Longwu turned around and asked Zuyun's opinion. Zuyun grinned, "Kill." "Got the order." All the demon saints took action almost at the same time. Screams arose, and the demon guard formation was broken. 5 corpses fell from the sky. Zuyun turned around, glanced at Zhou, and said, "We continue to move forward, you stay here. Xiaohuo, you guard him." A fiery red figure ran out from the demon beast group. It was Xiaohuo, the red candle beast. "Yes, master." Xiaohuo responded, leaned on Zhou side, and looked around vigilantly. "Demon saints, return to your positions, and continue to move forward." At the command, the demon saints transformed into human form and landed again. After picking up their respective totem poles, they continued to move forward with the demon beasts. At the same time, the only 5 remaining immortal kings were planning to escape. "Over there are monsters attracted by the imperial city. From what I see, the top-grade immortal route deliberately led us there. It is also possible that they want to take the opportunity to split us. Then let's go now." The great Yin immortal king threw out the flying boat in his hand and said sinisterly, "Mo and the others are too arrogant. In this situation, they will fall into someone else's evil plan. Everyone, follow me. I am 30% sure that I can leave the fairyland." The other 4 immortal kings were overjoyed. "I didn't expect the great Yin immortal king to hide so deeply, so what are they doing here? Great Yin, why didn't you say it earlier?" The 4 people followed the great Yin immortal king onto the immortal boat, and an immortal king immediately asked. "I have no choice," great Yin immortal king sighed, and said, "My method can only accommodate 5 people at most. Originally we had 15 people, and now there are 10 people. If I tell you, won't we have to fight among ourselves first?" "I see," said another immortal king, "this is a coincidence." "Indeed, then let these 800,000 troops surrender. Anyway, if we leave here and go outside the immortal kingdom, we will have a chance to ascend. When I go to the immortal realm, if I have a chance to come back, I will definitely kill all these people." With endless resentment and surprise, the immortal boat turned into a golden light and left. In the distance, Yu Changkong said to Yu Changming, "The remaining 5 immortal kings have escaped. You are in charge of this place. I need to go and inform fellow Daoist Zhu. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck." Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1476. The immortal king must die and run away. Everyone put down their weapons and stand still with their heads in their hands. If these people are allowed to run around again, there is no guarantee that someone will die in vain. Zuyun has already said that casualties should be reduced as much as possible. The only people he wanted to kill were 10 immortal kings. As soon as Yu Changming said this, all the immortals immediately followed suit. They all held their heads in their hands. Very well. If anyone moves even a little bit without permission, don't blame me for being rude. After Yu Changming finished speaking, he called a few close followers and asked them to guide these immortals. There are too many immortals, and the battle situation is too chaotic. Maybe there are some seriously injured immortals who can save a life. The situation here is gradually stabilizing. Yu Changkong ran with all his strength and finally saw Zuyun head on. What, 5 more people escaped? Zuyun was slightly annoyed. If I had known that these demon saints had completely controlled the situation, I should have taken the first step to contain those immortal kings. It's a pity that at that time, he only wanted to be safe and waited for the death of the 5 immortal kings before coming together. Do you know the direction in which they escaped? Zuyun asked immediately. Duanxian River, they went all the way down the Duanxian River. Yu Changkong said quickly. Broken Immortal River. Zuyun was stunned at first, then ecstatic. Xiaolu and the others were lying in ambush in the Duanxian River, but because they had no orders of their own, and Zhou Gun's sudden action caused a slight surprise, Xiaolu might be at a loss as to what to do. Perhaps, he saw them walking along the Duanxian River, so he didn't rush to take action. I know, I'm going now. If so, things will go more smoothly. All demon saints, follow me. City Lord you bring a group of demon beasts to join the immortal people of Deu. Good. Yu Changkong immediately responded. Seeing the clarity in the eyes of these monster beasts, his worries naturally disappeared. Besides, after the monsters, he would not be afraid of the coalition forces from the 3 cities. I heard that the immortal emperor was among the army of immortals at the rear. Do you want to take action? In the Duanxian River, Xiaolu did find these immortal kings escaping, but he did not receive Zuyun's order, so he did not take action. However, he knew that Zuyun's ultimate goal was to kill these immortal kings. Although he did not move, he still followed closely with a group of magical beasts lurking in the river. There was some accident on the Xianxia Goba side, and the Duanxian River became a lot clearer. This allowed Xiaolu to slightly see the golden light in the sky without using the power of a real dragon. Could it be that they want to escape to the wild sea along the Duanxian River? Xiaolu chased after him, and this idea suddenly came to his mind. Originally, he entered Qingping Immortal Kingdom from Duanxian He. Check the situation first. If something isn't right, then come out. Xiaolu secretly made a decision in her heart. But what he didn't expect was that several immortal kings took turns driving the immortal boat at extremely fast speeds without any lag at all. At most, when the immortal kings change people, the time will be slightly slower. Although Xiaolu is a real dragon transformed from an arowana, after becoming a real dragon, his actions in the water will be affected to some extent. In desperation, Xiaolu decided to transform into his own body and fly to follow. Otherwise, if he failed to kill him before and lost him again, he would have no way to deal with Zuyun. After instructing all the monsters to continue following along the Duanxian River, Xiaolu jumped out of the Duanxian River and instantly transformed into a jade-like real dragon body. He pressed against the surface of the Duanxian River and started chasing after him with all his strength. The power of a true dragon is no less powerful than that of a pseudo-immortal. In addition, his true dragon's power is fused with the condensed poison of countless generations of poisonous dragons, making it even faster than the immortal boat. As the distance got closer, the immortal kings on the immortal boat finally discovered that there were pursuers behind them. If you look closely, you can see that it looks like a demon dragon, but a real dragon that has never been seen before. It's not a demon dragon, it might be a real dragon. The great Yin immortal king was unbelievable. The real dragon was a human divine beast. Although they had never seen it, they knew that the real dragon was red and blue, but they had never been green. How could a real dragon appear in Qingping Fairy Kingdom? Qingpingzing also originally had a real dragon. But Qingping Fairy Kingdom has never existed before. Could it be that Zuyun came in with the real dragon from outside the fairyland? When the great Yin immortal king said this, even he didn't believe it. The real dragon is a mythical beast. Zuyun, on the other hand, is just a monk in the human race's divine transformation stage, and can only be considered a middle-level person at best. How could such a person subdue the real dragon and be used by him? A demon dragon is arrogant enough, let alone a real dragon. Whether it is or not, I don't think it's a good thing that the true green dragon is chasing us. The great Yin immortal king looked ugly, meaning that he asked everyone to take action with him. That's inappropriate. Immortal King De Ling, who was controlling the immortal boat, objected directly and said, "This real dragon is very strange. What if his purpose is to delay our time? You know, in the Duanxian River, there is also a wave of monsters that we have never seen before. It turns out that they were walking along the Duanxian River to lure out the monsters. Because the warcraft never appeared, they had no idea where the warcraft was. It's easy to hide from open guns, but hard to guard against hidden arrows. Only when they are sure that the monsters are not chasing after them will they go to the weak point of the fairy kingdom mentioned by the great Yin immortal king, and then work together to rush out. However, instead of waiting for warcraft, I waited for Xiaolu. Xiaolu also happened to not let the monster show up. Don't dare to do it, or don't want to do it." Seeing that there were 4 immortal kings standing at the tail of the immortal boat and watching, Xiaolu was a little confused for a while. "But no matter what, let's follow first. Hurry, and hurry up. If you don't cut the grass at the root, it will grow again in the spring breeze." Zuyun knew this truth very well. These immortal kings are very powerful. If they are not eliminated, even if he merges with the Qingping immortal kingdom, there will be huge hidden dangers. His heavenly way is not complete, and Zuyun doesn't know whether it will be destroyed by these immortal kings. Only by killing them completely, the immortal kingdom will truly become part of the great universe world without any surprises. He gritted his teeth and urged the demon saints behind him from time to time. Except for Longwu's meal, the strength of the other demon saints is much weaker. "Zuyun, we are almost at the limit, unless..." Longwu pondered for a moment and said. "Unless what?" Zuyun asked immediately. "Unless we combine the Destiny Beast, it will be difficult to catch up." "Then, combine." To combine the Destiny Beast, the totem pole is needed. Fortunately, when Zuyun brought them here, he had taken back the totem pole. But the key is that with their current strength, the combination of the Destiny Beast will also be limited by time. In addition, after the time is up, they will also be weak. If the immortal kings are not dealt with by then, they will be in danger. But now, Zuyun has no choice. What he didn't expect was that when the Destiny Beast was just combined, the Qingping Immortal Kingdom suddenly shook. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1477. What's going on? Zuyun was shocked and looked towards the sky in disbelief. It turns out that the sky is full of duckweeds. But at this moment, these duckweeds are slowly spreading around. No, Zuyun was extremely frightened. It was night, but the sky was bright, but there was no sun. If we delay for some more time, I am afraid that the Yang fire will rise, and without duckweed to stop it, everyone in Qingping Fairy Kingdom will be burned to death by the Yang fire. Hurry up. Zhu Yun gave an order, and the Destiny Ancestral Beast ignored the great changes in the fairyland and immediately rushed forward. The speed was so fast that in the blink of an eye, Zhu Yun only left an after-image. How so? Zhu Yun thought deeply. The Destiny Ancestor Beast was so fast, the 5 immortal kings must not be able to escape at all. As for the drastic changes in the Immortal Kingdom, perhaps the Immortal can explain it. Thinking of this, Zhu Yun turned around and ran towards the way he came. The chaos power in the body reaches its extreme. But he had a vague feeling that perhaps the scattering of the duckweed was an opportunity for him to merge with the Immortal Kingdom. At the same time, the Immortal Emperor, who led 300,000 immortals, also discovered the strange movement in the sky. His eyes also shone with light. The way of heaven. He murmured 2 words, but did not continue to speak. Instead, he took out the tortoise shell and took out the copper coins. On his forehead, there was endless golden light, and he rolled up the copper coins and put them into the tortoise shell. Immortal Emperor, what is this? Beside him, the great Knight Immortal King looked horrified. The last time there was such a drastic change in the fairyland, it was on the Qingping star. At that time, King Pingxing was blasted into pieces by the extraterrestrial demon, and only this piece flew to Huangxingxing. The rest of the fragments were not so lucky, and they all died under the bombardment of the demons from outside the territory. I have lived for hundreds of thousands of years, and have been the immortal emperor of this immortal kingdom for hundreds of thousands of years. This time, I want to calculate the remaining heavenly ways. Maybe, I can also calculate it. Immortal Emperor's eyes suddenly became determined. If it were the complete way of heaven, he couldn't count it. But the heavenly way of Qingping Immortal Kingdom is only 100% complete at best. He had a hunch that maybe with this calculation, he could transcend the way of heaven and achieve enlightenment and ascend. Even if this is in Zhu Yun's universe world. But as long as the Qingping Immortal Kingdom has not yet merged, it is not completely considered the universe world. Yes, Immortal Emperor. The great Knight Immortal King also sensed that the matter was serious, and quickly gathered his thoughts, and at the same time ordered all 300,000 troops to stop. Also at this time, under the tortoise shell, the golden light faded, and a few copper coins were floating in the air in front of him. Looking at the hexagram image, the Immortal Emperor's face was both surprised and happy. Tiandeo, I figured it out. The great Knight Immortal King was overjoyed and said, are you going to ascend? No, I just figured it out, but it has nothing to do with ascension for the time being. The Immortal Emperor smiled slightly and looked into the distance. The hexagram says that Zhu Yunhui will be my noble person. When I see him later, I can borrow his hand to ascend. Really? The great Knight Immortal King quickly knelt down on the ground, extremely excited. Congratulations to His Majesty the Immortal King. If I leave, you should stay in this fairyland and assist Tianji. And you must be on good terms with Zhu Yun. The Immortal Emperor solemnly gave the order, which puzzled the great Knight Immortal King and said, Your Majesty, the Immortal Emperor, Zhu Yun cannot do anything. But what? Just a monk who transforms into gods. The Immortal Emperor interrupted with a smile, Don't think that spiritual monks are inherently inferior to us, but since they exist, it is reasonable. Do you know what I just calculated? Will Zhu Yun also ascend? Ascension is certain. The Immortal Emperor looked into the distance. Zhu Yun's unique gray and white chaotic color had already shown a light spot. The hexagram also said that Zhu Yun has the appearance of an immortal emperor. The great Knight Immortal King was immediately shocked. While they were still pursuing the ascension of the great Dao, Zhu Yun could sit on the throne of immortal emperor. How is this possible? You don't believe me? The Immortal King asked back with great interest, and only then did the great knight Immortal King react, "I don't dare. Remember my words, and tell Dian and Tianji when the time comes." The Immortal King patted the day Immortal King on the shoulder, then rose into the sky and rushed towards Zuyun. "Immortal Emperor, can you see anything strange in the sky?" Zuyun didn't even have time to take a breath, and pointed at the duckweeds that kept flying into the distance. "I saw it," the Immortal Emperor smiled slightly and said, "This is a good thing." "Good thing?" Seeing Zuyun's confusion, the Immortal Emperor laughed and said, "It's a good thing for you, and it's also a good thing for me. Duckweed is the barrier in the air of Qingping Immortal Kingdom. The duckweed recedes, which means that in a short time, Qingping Immortal the country will be integrated into the universe as you wish and become a part of you." Zuyun was overjoyed when he heard this, but then he asked, "What about when dawn comes and Yang Huo is born?" "I can't wait until dawn," the Immortal Emperor said. "The world of the great universe is your world, and the Qingping Immortal Kingdom is integrated into it. Shouldn't Yang Huo also respect the laws of the great universe?" "I don't understand something." These were so profound that Zuyun couldn't understand them for a while. In other words, the Immortal Emperor was not surprised and explained in more straightforward terms, "In the world of the universe, you will eventually become the way of heaven here." Zuyun was stunned. How can a human being become the Dao of heaven? The way of heaven is the rule and the law. Your world is yours, and the law is set by you. The way of heaven in the great universe is incomplete because your understanding of the way of heaven is not deep enough. At this point, the Immortal Emperor also looked up at the sky. "Come to this Qingping Immortal Kingdom, I will follow you through the great universe. There is only night but no day in the great universe, while there is day but no night in the Qingping Immortal Kingdom. Maybe it is God's will, I can't explain it for a while, I can only tell you that if you can make Yang Huo the son of the great universe, maybe, you will also gain something." This made Zuyun fall into deep thought. After a moment, he understood. The night of the great universe has thousands of stars. If Yang Huo is used, it seems that in a sense, the great universe will indeed be more complete. This makes the great universe have the law of the rotation of the sun and the moon. I understand a little bit. Zuyun raised his head, his eyes were extremely deep. Then, he said, "So, what should I do now?" The Immortal Emperor smiled and said, "Just wait and see. When the Yang fire rises, you can communicate with the Yang fire with the power of the origin. Is the Yang fire intelligent? Everything in the world has spirits." Yang said it very well. Plants, trees, monsters, and stones can all become immortals. If there is no intelligence, how can you become an immortal? Zuyun suddenly realized. He understood. In an instant, many of the questions in his mind were solved. He even had a vague understanding of why the ancestral beast of destiny merged into the Qingping Immortal Kingdom and caused such a change. "I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills." Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1478. The ancestral beast of destiny is named after destiny, which shows that it is the ancestral beast that carries destiny. Although, it was fused by borrowing totem poles. But the totem pole itself carries the power of destiny. As a result, it affected the Qingping Immortal Kingdom. Perhaps, this power of destiny will break through the barrier of Qingping Fairy Kingdom, so it will be possible for Qingping Fairy Kingdom to connect with the world of the universe. But no matter what, this is a good thing for him. Zuyun looked at the Immortal Emperor and said, "Since the Qingping Immortal Kingdom will merge into the great universe world when the Yang fire rises, shall I find a way to send you out first?" What he was worried about was that the Immortal Emperor would be contaminated by the heavenly ways of the universe, thus affecting his ascension. "It doesn't matter," the Immortal Emperor smiled slightly and said, "I made a fortune and there is no need to go out again." "What do you mean, you will ascend here?" Zuyun also reacted immediately, and his expression couldn't help but be happy. Yes, I will ascend here. Besides, I still have things to do. What's up? Qingping Immortal Kingdom will return to the great universe world in the future. Then, these millions of immortals and countless ordinary immortal people should all believe in you. Zuyun was shocked. The immortal emperor was going to give him a big gift. He had also thought about this issue. He originally planned to use the hands of Qin Tianji, the new immortal emperor, after his ascension. But if the immortal emperor personally helps him solve this problem, it will undoubtedly save him a lot of trouble. Immortal emperor, I cannot thank you enough for your kindness. In his divine transformation stage, the power of faith from the mortal world rushed into the world of the universe and caused him to break through. So, will his realm skyrocket when the universe world merges? At least. It will also allow him to break through to become a god and achieve the goal of refining the void, right? If so, he would have greater confidence in dealing with the evil cultivators in the spiritual world. You're welcome, the immortal emperor said with a smile. I'm lucky to have met you. Not only did I successfully ascend, but even the ordinary immortals below found a good home. In fact, I originally wanted to come back after ascending to the immortal realm. Solve the problem of the immortal kingdom. But Qingpingxing has been dealing with the alien demons all year round, and they regard us as a thorn in their side. It would not be a bad thing if we were integrated into the universe. Zuyun silently accepted the immortal emperor's statement. I originally thought that the immortal world was just a struggle between human races, such as the five elements Luce Immortal who created the five elements Chaos Sutra. But he didn't expect that there are still demons from outside the territory who are eyeing him, as well as demons who are still in the chaotic star sea and have contact with the demons from outside the territory. By the way, Zuyun suddenly remembered something and said, if it merges, will other spiritual monks be affected? There will definitely be an impact, the immortal emperor affirmed, unless they are strong enough. Zuyun smiled bitterly. He did not expect that the final result would be like this. The second dog had already been contaminated by the heavenly law of the universe, but the big dog was relatively lighter. There's also excess smear. However, their realm is not high yet, so staying in the universe is not necessarily a bad thing. The only variable, but it was cold. I don't know if he can wait until the completion of his universe world to allow him to ascend from here. He didn't want to interrupt the path to immortality. Zuyun, you don't need to think too much. Some things are destined and cannot be changed, so just let nature take its course. Although the world of Dazhu will be more complete due to the integration of Qingping Fairy Kingdom, it is not a complete world after all. I know. Zuyun nodded, knowing that the immortal emperor was comforting himself. Now, the only thing that can be considered fortunate is that Sun Qiniang has already rushed out of the Duanxian River. Wait. When he thought of Sun Qiniang, Zuyun's eyes suddenly condensed. Those immortal kings are also walking along the Duanxian River, will they run into each other? Thinking of this, he felt extremely anxious. But the immortal emperor said again that some things cannot be changed. I can only let nature take its course. I hope she is okay, and Zuyun murmured and looked up at the sky. The duckweed directly above has completely receded. From a very far distance, the void seems to be coming this way, swallowing up the entire Qingping Fairy Kingdom. Faintly, Zuyun felt that it was the night sky of the universe. He can even have some light spots. It's starlight. There are stars in the Ye family in the universe world. It should be soon. Zuyun lowered his head again, but heard the immortal emperor say, let's go, I have to help you solve one last thing. Before the sun rises. Zuyun's heart moved and he said, do you want to gather all the immortals in one place, and then wait until the Yanghuo rises into the sky and let me solve it, so that everyone can believe in me? As expected of you. Seeing that Zuyun had guessed his thoughts, the immortal emperor showed a smile on his face. At that time, it will be the time for me to ascend. A total of nearly 1.5 million immortals gathered in one place. The immortal emperor floats above his head, majestic and majestic. All the immortals knelt down and listened to the immortal emperor's impassioned speech. It was not their intention to say that they were bewitched by the immortal king. He chose to forgive. At the same time, the immortal emperor also bluntly said that when there is a change in the immortal kingdom, he will take the opportunity to ascend. And the descendant of the Ji family, Ji Tianqing, will succeed as the immortal emperor, allowing them to practice well. As time went by, Yang fire slowly appeared on the ground line due east. All the immortals suddenly reacted. The speed of the Yang fire rising into the sky was not fast. But the light of the Yang fire made it impossible for them to dodge. For a while, many immortals were burned. At this time, the great Night Immortal King was the first to stand in front of everyone with his own strength. Night Immortal Root. The pseudo-immortal power surged and quickly formed a black night. The Yang fire was blocked, but the pseudo-immortal power attracted by the great Night Immortal King would continue to rise with the Yang fire, making it more difficult for him to hold on. Zuyun, it's your turn. The immortal emperor winked at Zuyun, which was what they had discussed before. Before all the immortals despaired, Zuyun solved their crisis. Then, Zuyun's reputation would reach a peak in an instant. Then, the immortal emperor's ascension can also be said to be Zuyun's help. Then, everything will come naturally. I understand. Zuyun's eyes condensed and flew towards the great Night Immortal King. Chaos power! He shouted, and the Chaos Lotus in his lower abdomen swayed wildly, and the 28 Chaos Lotus hearts on the lotus head lit up at the same time. Following that, incarnation. In just one breath, Zuyun condensed 5 incarnations at the same time. Merge. Before, his 5 elements incarnation technique had merged once, but an accident occurred due to the inner demon. This time, Zuyun was fully confident. Use the 5 elements incarnation to completely control the Yang fire. As soon as the voice fell, the 5 incarnations quickly merged together to become the Chaos incarnation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1479. Zuyun, no. Seeing Zuyun display his magical power, the immortal emperor deliberately shouted loudly. Among the 1.5 million immortals, only 100,000 knew his name at most. And the immortal emperor's shout immediately attracted everyone's attention. Zuyun? Who is he? What magical power did he just use? It seems to be an incarnation? Could it be that our immortal kingdom still has incarnation immortal roots? I don't know, but it seems that from the tone of the immortal emperor, it seems that he is trying to stop him from doing something. Amid the discussion of the crowd, the immortal emperor spoke again, and his voice reached everyone's ears. Zuyun, the danger is too great, you will die like this. Zuyun smiled contemptuously, turned his head to the immortal emperor, and poured spiritual power into it when he spoke. If I die alone, I can save millions of immortals in this world, so what does it matter? As soon as these words came out, everyone instantly understood the reason. The immortal emperor wanted to stop Zuyun from dying. And Zuyun died. It turned out to be for them. At this moment, their eyes were all focused on Zuyun. His incarnation soared into the air and rushed forward with the Yang fire. The incarnation was frantically controlling the chaos force, forming a huge chaos force shield in front of the chaos incarnation. But under the irradiation of the Yang fire, the chaos force was also consumed very quickly. Spirit Pearl. As the main body turned his hand, he took out 5 spirit pearls from his arms, and at the same time absorbed the majestic spiritual power in them and converted them into his own chaos force. The 5 spirit pearls only lasted for a cup of tea before they turned into powder. Spirit pearl. Zhu Yun took out 5 more, but the yang fire had already jumped out of the horizon. This time, it lasted less than a cup of tea. As the yang fire rose higher and higher, the time Zhu Yun held onto each of the 5 spirit pearls was getting shorter and shorter. Immortal Emperor, my spirit pearls are not enough. Zhu Yun shouted in a low voice. Of course, he did it on purpose. All the immortals heard it. One of them suddenly took out his own spiritual pearl from his bosom. Zhu Yun, I have a spiritual pearl. I have one too. My wife is all here. For a moment, all the immortals took out their spiritual pearls and threw them towards Zhu Yun's sky. There was no need for anyone to say anything. Some immortals who could fly also flew up quickly, using pseudo-immortal techniques to gather all the spiritual pearls in their hands and personally delivered them to Zhu Yun. As the universal currency of Qingping immortal country, every immortal has more or less spiritual pearls. Maybe there is only one, maybe more than one. But even if there is only one, there are more than 1 million immortals in total, and there are at least 1 million spiritual pearls. This is enough for him to support the complete integration of Yang Huo into the world of the universe. The Yang Huo gradually rose into the sky. But the night of the world of the universe continued to descend towards the side. Finally, when the Yang Huo was hanging above his head, the incarnation of chaos had already followed. The huge chaos force shield blocked the direct sunlight. Millions of immortals were unharmed. Everyone looked up at the sky. It's getting closer. The immortal emperor was very excited. He was beside Zhu Yun, watching the spirit beads break into powder and dissipate between heaven and earth. Zhu Yun, work harder. Fuse the yang fire and the universe will take a step forward. The immortal emperor encouraged him on the side. To outsiders, it seemed like this was a very simple matter, just absorbing the spiritual power in the spirit beads for their own use. But the immortal emperor knew very well how much pressure this put on Zhu Yun. It is not so easy to perfect the laws of a world. You know, this is something that many immortals in the immortal world can only dream of. The immortal emperor had heard of it long ago. Otherwise, he would not have guided Zhu Yun. Zhu Yun did not respond. Now all his mind was on the incarnation. And in the eyes of the incarnation, there was only the yang fire. It's getting closer, it's getting closer. As long as the incarnation gets close to the yang fire, it will merge into it. Then, he can let the yang fire be tainted with his will. Zhu Yun's goal is just like this. The spirit beads are shattered one by one. In a breath of time, 50 beads will be destroyed. Zhu Yun's hand almost turned into a residual image. The hearts of the immortals were raised to their throats. At this moment, everyone had only one thought in their hearts. But their lives were in the hands of Zhu Yun alone. Zhu Yun's protective clothes were all soaked. This was something that had never happened since he became a cultivator. This is not a cultivator from the spiritual world, this is an immortal. Yes, Zhu Yun is an immortal. Zhu Xian, Zhu Xian. At some point, the title of Zhu Xian spread among the immortals. If I can survive, I must build a statue of Zhu Xian at home and worship it every day. Me too. Me too. Another hour passed. The incarnation of chaos was already close to the yang fire. Similarly, the night was also approaching. But the problem also appeared. The chaos incarnation cannot go any further. Perhaps, Zhu Yun's strength is limited, and the speed of converting chaos force is not enough to consume it. The closer to the yang fire, the consumption of chaos force will naturally increase exponentially. Now, the consumption in one breath of time exceeds 100 spiritual pearls. What should I do? Zhu Yun's firm determination wavered a little. Could it be that he was going to fail? The incarnation could not make any progress. The main body also showed confusion. At this time, a figure suddenly disappeared from the ground under the main body's feet. When he reappeared, he was already beside Zuyun. Zuyun, you killed my father, you must die. The sword light attacked. Luo Xiaoyu. Not good. All the cultivators cried out in surprise. If Zuyun got into trouble, they would not be able to escape death. But who would have thought that someone would attack Zuyun at this time? No one had time to rush to Zuyun's aid, including the immortal emperor who was not far from him. Zuyun was even more distracted at this moment and had no time to respond. What's more, he had to absorb spiritual power from the spirit pearl in his hand all the time, and then transform it into chaos power to pass on to the chaos incarnation. Am I going to die? Zuyun closed his eyes unwillingly. Luo Xiaoyu is an immortal. Since he dared to make a move, it means he was fully confident. And it must be said that he found a very good opportunity. This is a tactic of destroying both sides. Because once he died, the chaos incarnation would be unable to continue and would be instantly burned to ashes by the Yang fire. Similarly, the Yang fire shone down. No one could escape. However, what everyone did not expect was a beautiful figure suddenly appeared. Two long white legs met the sword light. Luo Xiaoyu, I have been paying attention to you for a long time. Xuexiyan. Xuexiyan's strength was average. But her immortal roots were fully exerted at this moment. The two long legs jumped up from the ground, and then turned in the air, kicked Luo Xiaoyu in the face. Puff! The sword light pierced Xuexiyan. Xuexiyan's foot also slapped her face heavily. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1480. On the ground, immortals quickly gathered around and killed Luo Xiaoyu without any explanation. For Zuyun, this was just a thrilling episode. But for the other immortals, it is actually no less than walking on the line of life and death. If something happens to Zuyun, then they will only die. Xuexiyan did not continue to disturb Zuyun. After learning from her that Luo Xiaoyu's identity was actually Luo Dongqing's daughter, everyone couldn't help but praise Zuyun again. The immortal king of King Dawang City turned out to be an evil cultivator from the spiritual world. Fortunately, he killed Ludong City in advance. Zuyun didn't know what these people were thinking, he just continued to focus his mind, absorbing the spiritual power of the spirit beads, frantically refining it into chaos power, and then transferred it to the incarnation of chaos. But this time, Zuyun unexpectedly discovered that the incarnation of chaos seemed to be able to move closer. Although the speed is very slow, he can detect it. Logically speaking, it should be difficult for the chaos force to continue due to Luo Xiaoyu's interruption. But why can it be better than Yang Huo? Zuyun was puzzled and had no time to think about the relationship. But I don't know. The changes caused by Luo Xiaoyu's intervention made them respect Zuyun extremely. There are always a few of the 1.5 million immortals who will give him faith first. Timely rain. Seeing the incarnation of chaos getting closer and closer to Yang Huo, Zuyun became more energetic, gritted his teeth, and his 2 palms and 10 fingers almost turned into 2 phantoms. As the palms churn, countless dust scatters. These are all powders made from spirit beads. Dust to dust, they all fall to the ground. It fell on those immortals. Get up here. Finally, Zuyun discovered that the incarnation was close to Yang Huo. He shouted lowly, and the chaos lotus in his body suddenly grew out of his lower abdomen. Roar. Severe pain. Chaos lotuses are springing up like mushrooms, growing crazily towards the sky. In just a moment, it reached the sky, hit the back of the incarnation of chaos, and knocked him directly into the sun fire. Boom. A loud noise came from the sky. The incarnation of chaos instantly merged with Yang fire. At the same time, The Chaos Lotus also glowed with gray-white light, and 28 lotus hearts flew out from the lotus pod, and all of them penetrated into the body of the incarnation of chaos. Zuyun felt weak and fell to the ground with a crash. But the Chaos Lotus remains in mid-air. What's going on? Zuyun was puzzled. And those immortals couldn't understand this scene. The Chaos Lotus exuded a unique aura, until an immortal suddenly shouted, "Immortal traces, Zhu Xian's magical traces. Fairy miracle! Fairy miracle!" 1.5 million immortals shouted these two words in unison. Rays of golden light gradually emerged from their eyebrows, but flew towards Zuyun. What they saw was Chaos Lotus, but they were looking for Zuyun. Instantly, an incomparable and exquisite power poured into Zuyun's body. Boom! Zuyun felt that his mind suddenly turned golden. Waves of majestic power are constantly flowing through the 9 meridians of the body. Is it the power of faith? Just as Zuyun was muttering, the Chaos Lotus suddenly quickly returned to its original size and shrank towards Zuyun's lower abdomen. At the same time, the incarnation of chaos has been completely integrated into the Yang fire. All the light of the sun shines down. But it no longer has the power to hurt people. In an instant, the word immortal trace that resounded in the sky suddenly disappeared again. You can hear a pin drop. Silence. Until, someone was the first to shout Zhu Xian. The momentum gradually grew louder. For countless years, no immortal has been troubled by the sun fire, making it difficult for them to move. But at this time, the sun was shining down, making my whole body warm and very comfortable. Even the pseudo-immortal power floating in the body has become extremely active. There is no doubt that this change was brought about by Zhu Xian. Also at this time, the Chaos Lotus has also returned to the lower abdomen. The broken wound healed instantly, with no trace visible. The golden light in his mind also felt like it was destined to return at this moment. Following the 9 meridians, it all gathered towards the Chaos Lotus. The 28 lotus hearts that originally flew towards the incarnation of chaos left 28 pits of dust in the lotus pods. But at this moment, golden chaotic lotus hearts condensed. The power of faith has found its home, and earth-shaking changes have taken place in Zuyun's body. Boom! At this time, there was a loud bang in Zuyun's mind, and when the scene turned, a condescending scene appeared. This is. Zuyun took a breath of cold air, and then was ecstatic. The incarnation of chaos has completely merged with Yang fire. In other words, Yang Huo is like his incarnation. Before I could be happy, the sky suddenly darkened again. The night sky swallowed up the sun fire, forming an extremely strange scene. But gradually, the sun fire slowly receded into the night with its own fire. Until, with all the dark news, the sky becomes bright again. The day and night of the universe are complete. This thought just came to Zuyun's mind. There was a loud bang in the sky. Boom! 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 Before the sound faded, the sky was covered with dark clouds. Crack! In the dark clouds, a flash of lightning flashed, and Zuyun suddenly realized it. Scatter quickly, quickly! He yelled hysterically, "This is the heavenly tribulation of the immortal emperor." No, it should be said that it is the immortal tribulation. Ha ha ha! At this time, the immortal emperor laughed wildly and jumped up. Zuyun, Ji will go first. However, you don't have to worry about the immortal tribulation hurting others, Ji has already calculated it. As soon as the voice fell, the immortal tribulation that shuttled through the thundercloud slammed towards the immortal emperor. This is the last struggle of the heavenly Dao of Qingping Immortal Kingdom. Ji will destroy you. The immortal emperor, who has always been gentle and elegant, is now domineering. He held the tortoise shell in one hand and the copper coin in the other, and without any delay, he faced the lightning. Boom! He first put the tortoise shell in front of his chest, and then smashed it out after accumulating power. With the other hand, he threw out the copper coins one by one in an inexplicable way. Before the blink of an eye, the lightning snake was like a substance, fighting with the immortal emperor. This fight, it lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. The sun and the moon rotated. The yang fire fell 3 times and rose 3 times. The lightning snake has become much thinner. G has suppressed it for 100,000 years, can you still let G suffer a disaster? Suddenly, the immortal emperor roared, and the tortoise shell in his hand exploded. Then, there were explosions from the lightning snake, and then it broke into several pieces. Zuyun knew that those were the copper coins thrown by the immortal emperor before. Crash! After the explosion, the lightning snake dissipated, and the sky seemed to open a door, welcoming countless golden lights. Immortal power. The immortal gate has been opened, and the immortal light has tempered the body. The immortal emperor shouted loudly, "Everyone, see you again in the immortal world if you are destined."